Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud, and this is the All Stars episode 8 and 9 recaps, the final. Yeah, this is super late, but I would have felt really bad had I not finished this season up because I actually really like this show. This has been better than the more recent seasons that we've gotten, and these spin-offs really do it for me. Makes me keep tuning in. So yeah, let's get into the final. I've arranged it in such a way where we'll just talk about one particular challenger: 10th, ninth, 8th place, 7th place, all the way to 1st. And we'll see if we could wring out any cool or interesting information about what they went through. So let's start at the very beginning, where this final is going to be played in pairs, at least for the first 5 of 6 checkpoints. The first 5, every guy and every girl will work with everyone. For this first part, though, last place to checkpoint 2 is actually going to be out. They're going to be eliminated, which really sucks, but it does make you interested, I suppose. But wouldn't it had been great to have Derek and Gisela be in that full final? I always feel that way. I always feel like if you're gonna get out, it should be through elimination and that only. But whatever. The other thing I want to bring up is this is a point system. And this point system is so much better than the timed system. Because first of all, the time system, in a final, the producers, they won't show you your times. They're just like, just trust us. This person won by like 2 minutes or by 2 seconds. You know what I mean? It's bullshit. With this, you can clearly see where everyone's at, if you just do the math in your head. And it's so good. This is something that should be part of the regular finals, Yeah, it's terrific. I really hope it sticks for season 37, whatever it's going to be. And then All-Star season 2, which apparently there's going to be another spin-off season of this. And that's awesome. That is really great. So I'm going to try and blaze through this because I hate doing this shit by myself. So let's just first talk about who's out. Who got last. Who got 6th place to the second checkout with the tanagrams and canoeing. And that is Derek and Gisela. And it really sucks. They went from 3rd out of the gate to 6th, and apparently both of them have never canoed before, and that's really a big factor. They're even like canoeing backwards for a bit, and there's one part where Gisela has Derek like leap over her to get to the they switch positions, they switch places in the canoe. And they're going to be out. Hey, Derek, he was totally gung-ho for this show. And it really sucks that he's out this way. Gisela, you know what? I really enjoyed her this entire season. And it does suck that she's out. But there we go. We're trying to blaze through this, right? Okay, so let's get to 10th place, which is going to be Big Easy. And I just got to say, surmise this as, hey, this is redemption, right? Everyone knows his collapse, his big fail of Gauntlet 3, where he cost his, up to that point, an unstoppable team, right? Like, Gauntlet 3 was boring, in my opinion, because they kept winning everything. And the fact that Big Easy, he couldn't get through the final, and then they cut him loose, and then they go and still race without him, and they still lose because the rules was that everyone on their team had to cross. I remember some people were like, oh, it was fixed, it was rigged, like they purposefully wanted the veterans to lose, which I do not believe at all. I do believe in some conspiracy theories that go on throughout this show, but I don't believe that was a thing. I mean, the rules were clearly stated, but this is not about Gauntlet 3. The whole thing, Big Easy, is like, hey, because he's going to finish last, but still finish. And that's the big thing. It's like, hopefully people could fucking delete that old footage, show this stuff, and yeah, I mean, could you imagine being haunted by that sort of stuff? That would suck for sure. Okay, so let's. He got 5th place in the canoeing with Kellyanne. Barely scraping by to survive. He got 5th place again with Ruthie when they had to assemble that bike. I remember them arguing just a little bit. And they were tethered together and shit. He got 5th place again with Anissa. They were tethered together for a run, and then they had to meet into... they had to do that math puzzle. He got 3rd, which I think is the best he'll ever do, this final, with Janae in the Carolina Reapers. They would eat those peppers. But they would also have to do that old puzzle, that same puzzle that Big Easy got 1st place in a couple episodes back. And then they would have to run again, tethered. But that's good. Was it good because Janae was just killing it this final? And also Big Easy was like, hey man, I know this puzzle. I'm pretty sure that helped a lot. But good for him still, 2nd place, right? But the best he'll ever do. Next we have 4th place with, where are we at? 5th place. Oh yeah, right. 5th place with Jemmy at the Eat and Sleep. This, I feel kind of bad for him, because Jemmy is like not even eating. He's eating, but he's just like, hey man, if you're not gonna, I don't want to eat all this shit, and you just drop out. And Jemmy's like, oh my god, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to make me quit, and blah blah blah. And there is a part in Double Agent's final with Fessy saying like, hey, if you're not going to try, or if you're not going to be able to do it, why should I eat all this shit? So it kind of depends on where you're at with that. Like, would you be willing to eat all this stuff knowing that it might not work out anyways? But it is also surprising that he's struggling with an eating thing when he's such a large man. Now, if I could play Big Easy Advocate, I would be like, hey, guess what? Those hot dog eating contestants? They're never the big fat dudes. They're the small Asian guys. So take that how you will. But yeah, it was really surprising. I was like, oh, Big Easy, come on. If anything, this was the thing. But no, there's... you never know. You never fucking know. But he gets through that, and then he is able to cross 9th when it comes to racing to the top of the mountain. Good for him. He's... I think this is redemption. I feel like... we can't be bagging on him too much, He did it. Yeah, Big Easy. Okay, let's talk about 9th place is Anissa. And I just want to say this. I'm not fucking surprised she didn't win. She wasn't very good the last time she was in a final, years back in Duel 2. And she, she's... there was a website, stopbeingpolite.com, that was saying like, oh my god, all the times that Anissa could have won because she gets eliminated, like the last elimination before you get into the final. But I'm like, no, that's she does not get to the final, but that doesn't mean she would have killed it otherwise. Like, she gave up this bullshit thing about like in Double Agents where she's like, Fessy, we don't have to win this. This isn't the final. But I wanted to be like, bullshit. If this was a final, you wouldn't be working that hard either. And you'll see how she does. Okay, let's talk about it. Fourth place with Alton in the canoe, tangrams and canoe. But I do have to say, though, I'll give that to her. Alton kind of filled up the boat with water, right? She gets third place with Mark when they have to assemble the bike in the bike ride. Not bad. Fifth place with Big Easy when they have to run tethered and get to that number puzzle. And both those guys, I mean, come on. They're the heaviest there. And sometimes that doesn't mean crap. Like, I remember but it does here. But I do remember when I ran a, what was it called? The Tough Mudder. And I lost like 20 pounds to get in shape for that thing. And I did terribly. But there were plenty of people that were way bigger than me that were just on this constant pace. They just had that shit down, you know. And me, I was just like, oh, just like, and I had shin splints. I didn't know what shin splints were, but it was the first time I was experiencing them, and I was looking to Dave and Eric, who are in the hospital genre. They're in the medical field. And I was like, I don't understand. It feels like the meat is detached from the bone. What is this? And they're like, I don't know. Just fucking run. It was shin splints, guys. Thank you. Thank you for such support during that time. Anyways. But yeah. Her and Big Easy, they get last place. Okay? This is no surprise. She does get second place with Yes when it comes to eating those peppers, and then the old puzzle, and then tethered run. But I'm not gonna take that away from her. That's pretty good. That's with Yes. She did good. Who the fuck knows? Then she gets fourth when it comes to eating and sleeping with Darrell. And again, you know, she's a big gal, but that doesn't mean she eats a lot. Maybe I was gonna say it's the lack of exercise. I mean, that has to be true, right? So it doesn't mean like she's ready to eat, put away all that food. But that is kind of interesting, isn't it? That the two bigger contestants don't eat very well. And then she's gonna be 10th place, dead last in the race to the top when it comes to the solo part, right? So hey, she keeps on saying like, oh my god, if I could just get the chance to get in the final. Well, this final was basically the modern day finals, and that is how she would have performed. So I don't want to hear from her or these fucking weird ass fans or these podcast people where they're like, if Anissa could just get it. No, this is what happens. This is what will always happen. Anissa was in, I would say, close to good shape in Duel 2, and she's only gained weight and gotten older since then. Duel 2 was a long time ago. I want to say almost 11 to 12 years ago. So, I don't know. I don't understand why Anissa keeps on getting cast. It's clearly not because they want her to win. It's because she's just full of shit. Right? I mean, I didn't cover the episode before all this, episode 7, where Giselle is like, you're so fucking phony. Like, you're constantly just doing this shit. And I want to be like, duh, Gisela, you're her friend? You should know. You watch the show? You should know. This is what she does. I was going to say I hate Anissa, but I don't know. What's the opposite of hate? No, not the hate. Not opposite of hate, but what's a nice synonym? I don't know. Apathy, maybe? And that's not a synonym, but whatever. It'll have to do. So let's get into 7th. Where's 8th place, you ask? Well, it's actually a tie between Ruthie and Jemmy. Ruthie, for this, for what I want to say is like, hey, I loved her ever since Battle of the Sexes won. You know, she should have won. She could have won. She didn't know enough. Nobody knew enough to break that puzzle down. You know? So the other team, they were just like, they look and they copy it. They end up catching up and surpassing them to get the win. But really, I always felt Ruthie should have won or could have won. Whatever. Okay, so she gets third place in the canoeing part with Mark. Mark is the guy who fucking copied her puzzle. You know what I mean? Strange connection. She gets fifth place with Big Easy when it comes to the bikes. I remember her wheel fell apart, and her and Big Easy were kind of snipping and snapping at each other a little bit. She gets second place with Darrell when it comes to the tethered run and the math puzzle. Very good for her. She gets fourth place with Alton when it comes to the peppers and the old puzzle and the run. I don't know what to say about that. Was she really hurting from the peppers? I don't know. They didn't really get a cutaway where it showed her really struggle at all, but they ended up just getting fourth. Maybe it just came down to the puzzle. I don't know. She gets third place with Yes in the eating and sleeping portion, and good for her, right? I mean, she is by far the tiniest woman we've had ever, possibly. I mean, is she? I'd want to see her compared to Amber M and Big T. You know, who else are really tiny? But yeah, maybe Casey. But I think Casey's even taller or whatever. But anyways, and then she gets seventh place on the solo run to the top. And I think she's walking with Jemmy. Yeah, because they tie. I think, yeah. But it's also weird because of when they're like coming up there and someone's like, oh, so you do like each other. And they're like, yeah, way to call us out on, you know, blah, blah, blah. That was weird, you know, because we never had any inkling that Jemmy and Ruthie didn't get along at all, you know. And it is really awkward to just say that, you know, like, hey, guess what you guys do? Like, what if they were completely not aware that they disliked each other? You know, they talked shit about each other, but they never really knew, and they were always, you know, I don't know. It's weird, right? Jemmy, she's tied with Ruthie, like I said, seventh place. I just want to say she's all talk, or not just all talk, but she's good talk, but that's it, right? I mean, she's gonna try and spin everything to make her look better, cooler, more informed than she actually is. You know, there are people that are like this, where they're able to word everything where you're just like, oh, that has to be true because you said it. No, they're the king of spin. They can talk their way out of things or into things, you know. And I think that's what Jemmy is. She's good confessionals, and she can bitch and complain, but we'll see how she does here, right? Okay, she gets second place in the canoeing with Yes. Fine, outstanding. She gets second place again with Darrell in the bikes. Then she gets third place with Alton, where they have to run and do the math problem. She gets fifth place with Mark with the peppers and the old puzzle. So yeah, it's starting to dip down now. And then she gets fifth place with Big Easy with the eat and sleep challenge. And I really, like, she was struggling so bad. Okay, especially during the Carolina Reaper thing, where she was like, oh my God, she like fell down to the ground and she was like throwing up and shit like that. And then as soon as it came to the eating thing, she was like, oh, I'd never wanted to be with Big Easy. Like, I would have called him in and shit like that. But they are the same when it comes to this eating thing. Big Easy says, hey, if you want to quit right now, that's fine. And Jim is like, I know what you're doing. You're trying to make me quit so you don't have to quit and stuff like that. But all I had to think was like, hey, you are doing bad right now. You are struggling. Why is one struggle different from another struggle? I don't know. So she got fifth place, which again, I should be just calling this last place. There is no sixth place after checkpoint 2. And then finally, she's 8th place with the solo run to the top. I think Ruthie is in front of Jemmy by like a second, not even a second. You know, she's just they're just walking. Uh, but yeah, that ties them together. And there, Jemmy's gone. You know what? She, like I said, good confessions, but I don't know. I don't really care for those who are full of shit. They're very convincing, but if you take a step back and you're like, that's not how things are going, you're just trying to paint the narrative to work for you, you know? Let's get to 6th place with Alton. And this is going to be surmised as supportive. That's what a lot of his female counterparts are going to say. They're like, he's just a nice guy and stuff like that. And I really like Alton, and I was rooting for him. But yeah, after a while, I was like, man, I don't think he has a chance here. So let's talk about the canoeing. He gets 4th place with Anissa, which is kind of his fault. Or maybe it's absolutely his fault. Because at first he jumps into the canoe and kind of tips it a little bit and gets a lot of water in, and eventually there's like waves, little bitty waves, but they're kind of splashing in. So eventually the whole thing's gonna sink and like tip over. He gets 4th place with Kellyanne when it comes to the bikes. I just want to say the assembling the bike thing, that's a lot of fun. I really like that. That is a callback to one of the missions in Gauntlet 2. Then he gets 3rd place with Jemmy when it comes to running and doing the math problem. That math problem is kind of cool because you have to assemble it and all the points. There's like 5 or 6 points but 2 pieces a point, and they have to equal the same number or something like that. He gets 4th place with Ruthie when it comes to the peppers and the old puzzle. And who knows why? I don't know. I didn't see them struggle really. It might have just came down to the puzzle. Maybe it took a long time to fucking convince yourself to eat those peppers, you know? And I would have been freaked out too about them, you know? Like, a Carolina Reaper, 1 is enough. 2? That's madness and cruel. He gets 2nd place, the best he'll do this entire final, with John A. in the eat and sleep thing. Yeah, I don't know. Just because John A. was on this final, maybe that's what really helped him. But again, with the supportiveness, you know, like I do remember he's on the sleeping seesaws or whatever they're called, and he's like, I'm done with Yes's positivity, and I'm done with Kellyanne's negativity. And I'm like, so you just want everyone to be completely neutral? Like, is that what you are, Alton? And he ends up getting 4th place on the solo run to the top of the mountain. Still surprised, but actually not. The more I think about it, yeah, he must be a smoker, right? Or because he struggled with that one mission where they were like in a big team and they were carrying that log. It's like, oh my god, and he couldn't breathe and shit. Yeah, maybe I was surprised that he got 4th place because, yeah, he the whole marathon part. He's been really surprising when it comes to his endurance. But he ends up not winning. And you know what? I always like me some Alton. I don't mind him being around. Fucking put him in the regular seasons, or recast him in the spinoff. I'm kind of curious on who's going to get called back. You know? Because it sounds like there's going to be a big fresh cast or fresh. Is it really fresh if they're all old? It's going to be a big weathered cast, and I'm curious if Alton gets the call back, because I'm pretty sure Yes should, right? If anyone. Okay, so let's move on to 5th place. We're going to have Mark, the Godfather, or should I say, Shang Tsung. Now, for you Mortal Kombat fans, you might be like, oh my god, oh, you don't even have to mention, I get it already. X and down and B. That's not at all what the combo is. But what I mean by that is Shang Tsung was basically co-creator of the entire Mortal Kombat tournament, and everyone thought it was bullshit that he could compete in that thing because Mark was the guy who got the ball rolling in the first place. He was the one who's like, we want OGs, and it went viral and shit like that. And he's actually like executive producer, or one of the many producers that are former challengers, right? He really got the ball rolling, and it was kind of weird that he was able to participate, right? So I don't know. I mean, he doesn't win. He gets 5th place. I had everyone's total number of points actually accumulated, but I guess it didn't make this cut of notes. Anyways, let's just talk about how he does. He gets 3rd place with Ruthie in the canoe. 3rd place with Anissa in the bikes. 4th place, it's getting worse, with Janae with the running and the math. I think Janae was slowing down, and in fact, I think Mark might be getting weighed down by his partners, but I don't know. He didn't impress me either. I mean, he was supportive, Alton style, but I don't know what else happens. He gets 5th place when it comes to the peppers with Jemmy. But that was not him. That was all Jemmy. She's like, oh my god, my stomach hurts and shit like that. And he's just cool as a cucumber. He's like, all right, yeah. He gets 1st place, the best he'll do in this final, with Kellyanne in the eating and sleeping. Yeah, good for him. That's his peak, and he will be the 3rd person to cross the finish line on the race to the top of the mountain. Good for him, right? I mean, he's 49, and yeah, I mean, this is a tough final. I hats off to the producers for not pulling any punches. If anything, they made it even harder for these older people, and that's what I was like, shit, all right, this final was it was right up there with some of the better ones in the regular seasons. This final was certainly more difficult and demanding than the champs versus pros or champs versus stars finals. Yeah. Let's get to 3rd place. People are like, oh my god, what happened to 4th place, Vince? Well, relax. 3rd place is tied with Janae and Kellyanne. Let's just talk about Janae. Hey, she fucking surprised the fuck out of me in this final. And apparently she's got that new mom power. Apparently she had her kid like 7 months ago, maybe 9 months ago, something like that. And she's doing all this, and really awesome. Janae never really left too much of an impression on me. I do remember her having to, I guess I just usually associated her with her partners. I just remember her with Zach, and what a fucking asshole he was, and then her with Jasmine, and Jasmine was, she stole the spotlight all the time, because she's always smashing mirrors and getting so much bad luck. But let's talk about how Janae, who's tied with Kellyanne, let's just cover Janae first. She does 1st place with Darrell in the canoes. Awesome. She gets 1st place again with Yes in the biking. Then 4th place with Mark when the running to the math problem. Again, that was her. She really was getting tired and shit, but she just booked it for those first 2 parts. She gets 3rd place with Big Easy in the Peppers and Old Puzzle, and I think Big Easy they gave him the same puzzle. I think that's really weird, and it's a big E, right? The letter is E. I was like, oh, is that code for him or like fucking weird? And then she gets second. She's getting better again. Second place with Alton when it comes to the eating and the sleeping. The eating. Just a lot of meats. I think this takes place in Argentina, and I think that's how they did things the last time they were in Argentina in a final for Rivals 1, where I would prefer this. Just a lot to eat. Not necessarily really gross shit, although apparently it does look pretty gross. I mean, Jarrell describes it pretty morbidly. But overall, some people are saying like this is just a lot of meat, right? So she gets second place with Alton. John A, you're freaking awesome. And when it comes to the next day with the solo run to the top, she gets sixth place overall. Ties third place. You know, they first, second, and third should have gotten money. I mean, it's awesome that the winner gets $500,000, but I do like it when like second place gets a little bit of something and third place gets something, just a even tinier something, you know? Because it would have been great to see John A. and Kellyanne have it get paid off, literally, with something. But let's get on to Kellyanne, where apparently she went on Twitter after this, and she's like, it is really weird that, like, you know, she was like, why couldn't we have a female winner and a male winner? You know, she's like, you know, you look at the Olympics and, you know, we're not competing against men. We're competing against other women, you know? And she's like, there's just some things that, you know, guys are going to be stronger at. Girls can be stronger than those guys, but that would require so much more training and shit like that, you know? And she makes some good points. She mentions like, hey, why were we trying to eliminate other females when it really didn't matter? We were all going to compete against these guys. And I don't know, I'm not going to go into everything that she said because I just don't remember everything. I just read it like before recording, but that's that terrible memory. But yeah, it is interesting. It's and it's so weird because I could kind of read it on her face when she was crossing that finish line. You know, there was a look of contempt. And I remember, you know, Alton's like, oh my gosh, she's complaining, but hey, she maybe, yeah, you know, she had a point the whole time, you know? Yeah. It'd be interesting if this show was more like a legit sport. Like I mentioned this before, where like Bill Simmons is like, oh, this is America's fifth sport, you know, it's football, baseball, basketball, what's the fourth one? Fuck. Hockey? No, it's not American. Anyways, he was trying to say like this should be, the challenge should be more popular than it is because it's a sport. It's not a sport. It's a game show. A game show run by sensationalists. You know, they're just trying to get you to go like, oh, ooh, ah. You know, they're not trying to literally see who's the best. They're not trying to play on an equal playing field. They're not suggesting certain players get further. You know what I mean? And it does suck because you could say like, oh, what? It's a show. It's nothing. Yeah, you could say that when you're Johnny Bananas, which he actually said. He's like, what? It's a show. Yeah, you've won how many times? Think of the people that could have used that money. Think of Sarah when he stole that money. He's like, it's a show. No, that was a real life consequence for her. And you bought a house with that. Okay, I'm just saying, is that there needs to be some changes on the challenge. But it's so weird. It's like you know, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before. But I could only mention it so many times. You know, I could only bitch and complain about TJ and producers and Bananas and Anissa, you know what I mean? Until after it's like, It's falling on deaf ears. Mostly because, especially right now, like, I'm solo, speaking into a camera and a stupid mic right in front of me with some pages of notes. Let's talk about how she goes. How she does. 5th place with Big Easy. She's waiting on Big Easy to figure out that puzzle. They barely squeak by in the canoeing to not get cut. Does a little bit better. She gets 4th place with Alton on the bikes. She gets 1st place with Yes now on the run to the math problem. Very awesome. In fact, she's gonna do a triple header. She's gonna get 1st with Darrell when it comes to the peppers and the old puzzle, and then she's gonna get 1st with the eating and the sleeping with Mark. And I remember this. Like, Kellyanne was like really struggling, throwing up a lot, crying. She's a vegetarian, so this was tough for her to get through. Like, could you imagine that? You know, it's not like one of those things where they're like, no, never, ever eat meat. I've known a person who was like, I just prefer to eat this way. I feel like I get more nutrients. My thinking is more clear. My weight, dropped, and I feel very invigorated with this diet. So Kellyanne had to go from eating that way by choice, her preference, to now having to just mow down all this fucking meat. So she was struggling. And I was like, hey, she got through it. Because didn't Mark... Yeah. Mark was like, every time she cries, she just fucking eats even faster and stuff like that. And I just really like Kellyanne's tenacity in this thing, and I did notice that look on her face when she was crossing. She ended up getting 5th in the solo hike up the mountain, and that, oh my gosh, she kept on passing people. She was like just gaining steam, and oh man, she gained some major props from me for doing so. And it does suck. And if there would have been both a male winner and a female winner, well, hey, we could have had Johnny and Kellyanne split 1st place between them. And I would have been fine with that. That would have been awesome. It's never been done before, but give us something we've never seen before, producers, right? Speaking of something we've never seen before, let's talk about 2nd place, Darrell. He, in my mind, he's 5-0. In the official whatever, he won Gauntlet 1, Inferno 1, Inferno 2, Fresh Meat 1, right? But in the spin-off, which I don't know why we don't include that, he won Champs versus Pros. So 5-0 in my mind. So Darrell, though, he's going to get 2nd place. And in fact, we're going to see another thing that I never thought we would see. He was actually thinking about calling it quits. He was like, I might need a medic here. And he's hurting really bad. And it's Kellyanne who says, no, it's just like cramps, you fucking piece of shit. Like, you fucking man. You don't know. No, she doesn't say that. But, like, it's God, I love Kellyanne in this final so much. Darrell is like, he's going to try it. He's not going to quit. But that is probably the worst we've ever seen him in a final ever. Okay, so how he did in this, he got 1st place in the canoeing with John Nay. He got 2nd place with Jemmy in the biking. He got 2nd place again with Ruthie when it came to the running through the math problem. He got 1st again with Kellyanne with the peppers and the old puzzle. So that was awesome, right? Kellyanne's the one who's like, no, we're going to... And she's kind of just pulling him up the hill. He gets 4th place with the eating and the sleeping with Anissa, I don't know. They seemed to be having fun when they were eating, but it just, I guess maybe they shouldn't have, because they almost got last, right? And then he would get second place on the solo hike up the mountain. And yeah, it was a bit shocking, when it first starts off. Darrell just fucking sprints up that fucking mountain, and eventually he starts to slow down, like what Yes predicts, and we'll get into that. Let's get into it now. Let's get into first place. Yes, YES. In my mind, when it comes to challengers who, strike my fancy or get brownie points from me in a final, it is like double points. If you do good in a final, you could make up for the lack of personality in the rest of the season. And Yes was kind of, was kind of in the background. He did have that very positive, like, hey man, we're here, and I'm very clear-eyed, and I'm a grown adult man and shit like that. I think he's 41. And that was all nice, right? But in this final, he fucking kills it. He's got a lot of shit to say. He does a lot, and he cuts this promo at the end, which is fantastic. But let's go into how he does in the final. Okay, so he gets second with Jemmy in the canoeing. He gets first with Janae in the biking. He gets first again with Kellyanne when they run to the math problem. He gets second place again with Anissa in the peppers and the old puzzle. Third place with Ruthie with the eating and sleeping. And that was really on Ruthie, because I remember him getting done pretty good, but it was to little old Ruthie. She can't fit all that food in that little bitty stomach, And then finally, the first place when it comes to the solo hiking and stuff. And this was great because, Darrell takes off in a flash. And Yes is like, maybe he knows something I don't, but I don't believe you can run these things. It's a marathon up these mountains, And he's talking, like, during the sleeping thing, he's like, I've slept in the mountains, shivering and shit, but I'm used to this stuff. And, when it comes to these marathon things, like, yes, you want a runner. You need, if you got the endurance, you are so dangerous in these things. But it comes down to even greater shit. Like, he breaks those sticks off, so he's like an elliptical machine or something like that. And then he stops randomly, even though he doesn't see Darrell there. He's like, you know what, I'm going to do the thing that, everyone should do, but no one will, because Mark's going to see him do this. He, like, takes off his fucking leggings, all his extra padding and shit like that, and he rolls up his pant legs, and he's like, I'm going to be able to keep going because I'm not going to overheat. This is all experience that he's talking from. And he goes with the sticks. Mark even sees him stripped down, but Mark's like, he's weird, I don't know, and I'm the Godfather. And so Yes eventually fucking passes Darrell, and and yeah, it was great. Darrell's like, where did this guy come from? But the best part was, like, Yes is like, Crossing is like, okay, am I my usual positive self, supportive self, or do I talk a little bit of shit? I'm going to talk a little bit of shit. And he's walking by Darrell. It's like, y'all should have voted my ass in. And Darrell's like, where the fuck did you come from? And just imagine how frustrating that would be. Because first of all, like, Darrell is the shit, man. Like, I've always thought Darrell is, like, one of the best to ever do it, especially in these goddamn finals. And for Yes to pass Darrell, talk shit, and Darrell can't put on the after boosters and catch up at all. He has to see Yes just progress. And so Yeah, yes, crosses the line. And he's talking shit. He's cutting a promo. He's like, "Told you, motherfuckers, I could take on anybody, even those guys in the other shows." He's basically saying, "Put me on, challenge season 38." You know what I mean? Because season 37 is already cast, and I think about to film. I'm not really sure, but he's not on there. But yeah, when he said that, I was like, "Yeah, put him on that new season. That'd be awesome. I want to see Yes back." And if not, like, fucking recast him, put him back for All Stars season 2, because he's like, "I got the crown. Who wants it?" Boom, right there. I was like, that is perfect. That is great. And that is the end of my notes. You know, I do want to say, I forgot to mention TJ on a horse, which is just the gift that shouldn't look a horse in the mouth. I don't know how the saying goes, but the fact that TJ comes in and they're like, "Oh my god, you know how to ride a horse?" He's like, "You know I do this shit." And right away I was like, "Oh god, please get bucked off." Not quite, but the horse doesn't listen to him, and he's like, "Whoa," and shit like that. So he is kind of nervous. So I'm like, good. Who the fuck talks like that at your age, TJ? For shame. But yeah, that was the end of the episode and the end of the season. I love this season. The music was great. I didn't write down everything. I didn't write down any of the songs. But talk about, nostalgia fest, right? But yeah, that's it. I'm so glad that I was able to do this. I know it's super late, but I just would have felt bad. I'm like Letarian, where I'm like, yeah, sure, I could have, not go into elimination, but I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I didn't help out a friend. I feel kind of similar when it comes to the people that listen to the podcast. And yeah, if this ever pops up in your mind and you happen to cross this is for you guys. So like, subscribe, comment. This was Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud. And that's all.